Hello guys, YoboiSlick back with another video here. We're going to do just the Damond Motorsports Engine Mount, and I'm going to basically do a better job on how to do it, because this time we're going to do it on the white Mazda Speed Gen 1. So first things first, you have it comes in pieces, so you have to put it together. So let me show you how to put it together properly, and I'm going to show you guys how to put it inside of the car properly. But it's really easy. This is gonna be a short video. You can do this in like probably 30 minutes. I mean, anybody can do it. If I can do it, you can do it, because I'm stupid. And you guys are probably smarter than me, so yeah. All right, since it's new and clean, first thing you do, bottom piece facing this way. This way is going to be facing the frame rail of the car when you set it on top. Then you're gonna take this side. It's obviously labeled engine side, so you're gonna do this with it on this side. And then on top of that, you're gonna have it this way. So this side will be up if it's a Mazda Speed, Mazda 6, a 2.5, or a MZ3 or MZ6, all right? So that's what it says here. If on the other side, it will be for the Ford models, I believe. So they use the same mounts as the Ford Focus or the Ford Fiesta STs, I believe, because Mazda and Ford are very similar, or basically cousins. But since this is a Mazda Speed, it will go on just like this. It will go on just like that. So let me go ahead and set the camera up so we get a time lapse of me putting everything together. And as you guys see, that's how you do it. So they're gonna have two bolts that are the same, and they're gonna get on those nuts there. And they're gonna have one bolt and one nut that's different. That's gonna go on the top here. And then you're gonna torque it down accordingly. So, or what I'm gonna do is just ugga-dugga it with a, what I think these are like 15, I don't even know what size these are. I'm gonna go tighten these down real quick. Ugga-dugga it. They got torque specs on their website, but I'm just too lazy to do so. All right guys, I'm gonna hurry up before my fiance catch me working parts on her kitchen counter. But this is a 15 right here. They're both size 15s. But since I can't find my 15, I'm gonna use a 16. So I'm gonna put a 16 right here and a 15 on the other side and tighten it as much as possible. So ugga-dugga, let's get it. So the next step here is this head right here is a 17 millimeter. All right, and then the other side here is a 19. I found this janky 19 just laying around, so I'm gonna try to use it. But I'm gonna ugga-dugga this, and I'm gonna try to ugga-dugga it flat. All right guys, so I should also mention that you don't want to tighten it too tight to where it doesn't pivot. You should have a little bit of pivot room. It should be firm, so it's not going to be exactly stupid tight, but it should be tight enough to where this can move just a hair. Wow, I just pushed my water bottle on the floor. But if you don't like how loose it is, then you put it as tight as you want. But once you get it in the car, it's not really gonna move. They got the Loctite nuts on here. You can tighten it as much as you want, but I would suggest you do this whole process before you put this in the car. So once you put it in the car, it's just gonna sit, it's gonna fall into place, super easy. So once the car is here, because the car is currently not here, when the car is here, we're gonna go ahead and fast forward and go ahead and put that in the car. Might have scratched up something a little bit. Whoops, didn't mean to do so. But yeah, that's how it looks like. All right guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and move this motor mount out the way. Just took a nice picture of that for the thumbnail here. So the first things first, to get this motor mount off,
I have a CorkSport mount. That mount is absolute garbage. That's why we're changing it. Is we got to get the power steering pump and the coolant tank out the way. So this is a little bit different than the Gen 2s because the Gen 2s do not have hydraulic power steering, and the reservoir, the coolant reservoir, is differently shaped. But other than that, everything is about the same from the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 Speed 3. I do have a video on how to do the Gen 2, but I did all three mounts, the dog mount, the engine mount, and the transmission mount. If you guys want to see that video, I'll leave a little thing there up the top. But yeah, so you're gonna take your, I believe this is a 10 millimeter. You're gonna take your 10 millimeter, get this off first. Then you're gonna take an 8 millimeter and a little bitty screwdriver down there, like a flathead, and release that tab. And both of these, oops, sorry, I done lost my camera. Both of these gonna flop over. You're gonna try to flop them over. Obviously, you're gonna do this cold because you don't wanna move around the cooling system when it's pressurized, when it's hot. Once you move those around, then you're gonna get to the two bolts here and the two bolts at the bottom. Make sure, now, this is very important. I put this car on ramps, engine ramps, and I have chocks on the back of the wheels. Make sure you get a regular hydraulic jack and try to get like a piece of cloth or a block of wood or something touching the oil pan so it doesn't destroy the oil pan. So we're gonna use the hydraulic jack to support the engine's weight when we loosen up all the bolts and everything and we push everything up to move this motor mount out of the way, and we're gonna reuse the hardware that's already on the car to put the new mount on, and then boom, easy to go. It should take you like 30 minutes. I said should because sometimes bolts don't wanna come off, studs break and all that other stuff. But if everything goes perfectly, this should take you about 15, 20. If you've done this for the first time, about 30 minutes to do, start from finish. So let's go ahead and get the hydraulics line, the hydraulic reservoir off and the coolant reservoir off, and then we're gonna take off the motor mount itself. All right guys, next thing is next. Are you gonna have to relocate this? So I am going to relocate this. I'm gonna try to do it similarly because there's no way on here to put that ground wire. So I'm glad they thought of that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this hardware off. There's a threaded piece. Oh, there's an AC line that's in the way. I may not be able to do that. But what I might be able to do here is I know I want it on the block. So I want one end on the block here, and I want another end on the body somewhere. So I'm gonna try to find a spot where it could ground out on the body here. And that's all I think I need. But let me go ahead and take this stuff off here, and I could find a placement for that. All right guys, so I got a 17 millimeter long socket, 1/2 inch, for the two nuts on top. No diddy, all right? What we're gonna do is completely remove this, lower the jack to let the engine down, because these are studs and they're facing upwards. So you're gonna let the engine down, and after we let the engine down, we're gonna get the two other ones that are sitting in the bottom there, and they're both 19 millimeter bolts. And yeah, so let's go ahead and do that. If that made sense, that made sense. All right guys, now I'm gonna let the engine down very slowly. Come on, get out of the hole. You don't wanna let it down all the way. You need the engine to still touch. You need the jack to still touch the engine. So, do that, it doesn't wanna come all the way down because it's at a weird angle. Let's go ahead and get the other two and just pull the mount on up. All right. Oh, that's scary. The engine moved a lot more than I really wanted it to. That is very scary, but scary and hairy. We got it off. All right, guys. So the ground wire that we were referring to is this one right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. On on the Gen 2s, I put one in here and then the other end on the block. The problem is that the Gen 2s do not have this AC line right here routed that way. So I'm going to see if there's another place to put it while I'm here, because it will not be able to sit right here because this mount here itself is completely flat. So let me go ahead and relocate this. I think I'm gonna try to relocate it in the same spot. I just won't be able to get it with an electric gun. Alrighty, it's so hot outside that the camera keeps overheating. So long story short, I removed, this is a 10 mil on this side. I put the 10 mil side underneath this AC line, which you're gonna use as a short 10 mil and a skinny extension. And you can get around this without having to move this AC line. And then on the other side here, you're going to face, because it has like a little claw on it like this, you're gonna face this downward or like this way. What is that? What time is that? I forgot how to use a clock here. Is that 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock? No, 6 o'clock is like this, 5 o'clock. So like more like 5:45, right? Gen Z me, don't roast me in the comments, you older folks. This is Gen Z problems. But yeah, so you're gonna hang it up like this and then use a 8mm socket, obviously, to take it off and put it back on, and have it this way so that the claw can fit flush and you can get it without bending anything and anything like that. So you're gonna need that ground wire. Don't forget that. Now, all right, and then after that, from here, it's just straightforward. It's reverse engineer. You put this on here, you move the motor mounts, line this up here, and you're golden. I mean, very easy, very simple. Then put everything back. So let me go ahead and do that. And yeah. Dude, I feel like a glazed donut outside of a Diddy shop. But anyways, yeah, I just remembered. You guys will have the OEM hardware if you but this is CorkSport's bolts, and they're long and they're made for their mount. So what I'm gonna go do is I'm heading Ace Hardware and getting the right thread pitch, but a shorter bolt, so I don't end up like with this big old gap. I totally forgot about that, but I looked at the boat and I looked at the old mount and I was like, yeah, this is made for them. I do not have the original hardware for the car. So shout out to Ace Hardware. They always have what I need, but this time these bolts were, for this part of this car, were very expensive. I didn't know that, like, usually I'll lose like very common bolts and nuts, but this one was really uncommon and they didn't really have that many of them, or I guess it's uncommon for this area. And yeah, very expensive. 4 bolts, because I got 2 at different lengths, one at a shorter, one at a little bit longer, about 20 bucks. I've never spent 20 bucks on bolts before. Yeah. So my workstation seems to be my dryer right now because I don't have a thingamabob. So you see how much longer this is than the rest of them. I'm going to try the short one first. If this is too short, then we're going to go to the long ones, but I think these will be just fine. All right, guys, I got her on snugged in. So what I had to do was I hand tightened it first until it started getting towards the bottom. And I did the same thing here and just used the gun all the way down. So now the moment of truth here is I'm gonna let the engine mount, all right, and it should hold the weight. So I don't know what the torque specs are. The torque specs are online, but I normally don't torque these down. I just like ugga-dugga them. If they get loose, just ugga-dugga them again and call it a day. Because getting a torque wrench with a long extension won't even be accurate. It won't even be that accurate. It will get like energy loss from the extension. So I stopped torquing down stuff that I can't directly get the torque wrench down on. My buddy Nathan is going to scream in the comments because he's like, torque it down! All right, guys, moment of truth here. Let's see if it still makes all that noise. Holy crap. That is a night and day difference, baby. Hell yeah. No more, it used to like squeak. Now, I know where the squeaking is coming from, and this car needs a new power steering pump bracket, but it used to like squeak from the engine mount, like it was rattling, like, it sounded like grinding noise. misfiring just a tad bit, but we're gonna figure out that issue later down the road here. I fixed one thing today, and that's great. You know, we're moving forward. That's all that matters. And so guys, simple, very easy, simple install. Yeah, so pertaining to that car, in the future, I'm probably gonna do some injectors and, you know, a regular tune-up after that. But other than that, the car seems sound. Injectors and a tune-up and maybe another tune, and the car might be great and awesome 100%. Yeah. But these things, you gotta drive the cars to figure these things out most of the time. Sometimes these cars act up and then they don't act up for a long time and then they act up again. That's been with this car. You know, the car will act up for a short amount of time and then it'll act perfect for like a month. I'm just over trying to chase things that won't stay consistent. But if you like today's video, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Let me know how I did recording, doing that in the comment section below. Criticism is always welcome. And I'll see you guys in the next video.